This golf club has the potential to absolutely disrupt the driver market, get the big boys worried, but it won't for one major reason, and that's this golf club's biggest problem. Which golf club is it? It's the Wilson Dynapwr Driver. Now, I'll be honest, I've never really tested a Wilson driver before. It's never been a driver that's been on my radar, but when these came into the office, I looked at them and thought, wow, they actually look pretty cool. And there's two models. There's a Dynapwr Carbon and there's a Dynapwr Titanium, completely aimed at different people. The Carbon promises low spin and neutral ball flight, whereas the Titanium is more designed to be a more forgiving driver. So I'm going to put them both to the test. I'm going to hit some numbers in here with both of them. I'm also going to go out to Wilson Bay and put them into test out on the golf course and see what they are like. And then at the end of it, I will tell you why this golf club has one major problem that will stop it from disrupting the driver market, and price isn't it, because price-wise, these are for sale online at £349 to £399. That is a lot cheaper than the rest. Let's head out to Wilson Bay, let's put it to the test, and I'm going to get some numbers in the studio. Right, so I've brought the Carbon out onto the golf course today. I've not bothered with the Titanium because it's not really a golf club that would suit me. And I'm on the 16th here at Wilson Bay. And again, this is a drive that I'm trying to get between those two tree lines through the centre there. I do have room to the left and I do have room to the right. And this is a little bit downwind. I'm kind of cheating today, but I will go into wind to see how this performs as well. One thing I'll say about this Carbon is down at the ball, it looks fantastic. It's definitely a step up from Wilson, and there's a driver that I think a lot of people will maybe start looking into where they've never looked into him before, because Wilson have always been that brand that, you know, they did that that program in America that Rick Shields was a judge on, where people could design the drivers, but they've never really taken off. But where this is priced and the looks of it, and we'll go back to the studio and see how it performs as well, I think this is definitely a club that more people will maybe look at this year than they ever have done before. So let's hit two drives off this 16th, see how it performs, and then we'll go into the wind and see how it performs into the wind. Now, this Carbon is definitely the low spinning model. It's definitely the player's model of this driver, so to speak, whereas the Titanium is definitely more forgiving. So let's see how it performs. That's actually come out okay. That's just going to be right side of the fairway. It is a bit fadey, but my drives are starting to be a little bit more fadey than they have been before, that's for sure. Whereas always used to be a little bit of a drawer, I've suddenly turned into a bit of a fadey driver. Oh, that's a bomb. That's done so well. Sound off the face is superb, like really, really good, really nice and tinny. Sounds powerful off the face, which is what you'd want from a driver. Nice straight ball flight, that second one. The first one was a bit fadey, but it wasn't slicey. I just started it right playing for a draw and actually faded it. It just seems to be my play at the minute, in a bit of a fade, but actually really impressed. So as for fairways, 0 out of 2. However, I have got 50 yards into this green, and this is a, top of my head, possibly 350-ish par 4. I've literally got a flick with a wedge with both of those, and they were decent shots as well, because I've come far enough to sort of miss these trees and stop them being blockers. And if I was using my Ping or any other driver, it is exactly where I would have expected it to have been with that sort of tee shot, because you got to remember, this is my home course. I play this course a lot, and the positions I was in with both of these balls are exactly where I would expect to be with my own driver, except my driver, if I was to go and buy it new, would be £200 more than this driver. Okay, technology, what are we getting with this Wilson Dynapwr Driver? Well, we're getting Carbon on the sole and on the top, and that's designed to give you a bit more low spin and a more neutral ball flight. Now, after those first two strikes with the Wilson off the 16th tee here, it's definitely come out as a neutral ball flight. It wasn't too fadey, wasn't too like drawy, it was pretty straight for both of them. I just aimed the first one off to the right. You're also getting Dynapwr AI face, and that's taken thousands of parameters of ball strikes off the face to give you that thickness all across it to increase ball speeds. And it's something that everyone's doing. TaylorMade has inverted cone, Callaway has the AI face. It's something that a lot of these brands are now doing, is putting a lot more effort into variable thickness faces in order to maximize ball speeds all across it. Because let's be honest, most people, unless you're a tour pro, do not hit the center of the driver all the time. So we need to maximize that ball speed and maximize that launch and everything that we can get out of this driver. So that's what Wilson are doing with this. And because it's carbon and we've got this weight at the back of this as well, it's just going to move CG a little bit lower in order to aid launch and aid forgiveness. I need to get this driver out the way because that is a big rain cloud coming in. So 17th into wind, really difficult drive at the best of times. The play is to miss it to the right because in the summer it all runs down to the left and then you're just left with no shot. So I'm going to aim for that road in the distance if you can see it, and possibly just try and hit a straight one rather than a fadey one. Oh my God, I've rifled it straight at the flag. That is such a good driver. And I pulled that a little bit left of target, but that has gone bullet straight, and into wind that has gone a pretty good distance. And the sound is absolutely superb. I'm so surprised with this driver. For the money, £400, probably getting it at about $350 online. I don't think there's a better driver out there. So I've hit that one, rubbish, like rubbish, like rubbish. So it's gone up in the air, like ballooned up in the air, but I'm absolutely surprised at how far that's still gone, considering it's into wind. It's not the greatest strike I've ever done, let's be honest. I feel like I would have hit one more because that wasn't the greatest strike. Be interested to see where that's gone compared to the other two though, because it wasn't really very good at all. Oh, the ball flight is so straight. So that one was what we would class as pretty central, maybe a little bit toey, but I am really surprised at how well this driver is. So I've just been out and picked those balls up, and as you can see from the lens, it's starting to rain, so I'm going to head in until the rain clears a little bit. The one that I hit high in the face was probably about 50-60 yards behind the other two, as expected with that kind of drop off. But the two that I middled were so far down there into wind that it surprised me. Like, it's possibly the furthest I've been on that hole into wind, and they were so straight as well. It just shows that that low spin and neutral ball flight is not actually a gimmick when it comes to this Wilson club. It's actually something that I've seen out on the golf course. Okay, final hole I'm going to use this driver on, and this is our first hole, and for me this is the ultimate test of a driver, because this is a hole that can ruin your round before you've even started it. If you look down here on the right hand side, it's out of bounds, that's a road, and on the left it's just junk. Now there is a pretty big landing area, but you still have to be fairly accurate with your tee shot, and it's not normally a hole I would take driver off unless I'm feeling super confident with my driver. We're going to give it a go today with this, and this is literally the ultimate test of this driver for me. If I can get it away on here, I can get it away anywhere. So I'm going to aim at the flag and hopefully try and peel it off into the centre of that fairway. But anything pulled left or sliced is a goner. Oh, it's so good. So good. I'm going to hit another one. This has to be, so far, and I actually mean it, the straightest driver I've ever hit. As in, every ball flight just seems to be straight. Now that was a high toe, but it's still gone a decent distance. I just can't seem to be able to get any ball shape on this. Again, it's just so straight. Let's go see where they are, but all in all, I'm so impressed with this driver. Okay, so these have both done really, really well. The first one is there in the fairway, and the second one is just here in the rough. Great distance off the tee for what was a pretty toey shot, but what I didn't get was those hooks. I have to say, this is the straightest driver I've hit all year, without any shadow of a doubt. Out on the golf course, the numbers at the studio may not say the same, but out on the golf course, this is definitely the straightest driver I've hit all year. And before we head back to the studio, I'm going to throw one thing out there. This is, for me, the best driver of 2023. Pound for pound, the best driver of 2023, without any question. I'm so impressed with this driver, to the point where I would even contemplate, because I'm thinking of putting the G430 in the bag, I'd even contemplate putting this one in the bag, and I would have to head them out on the golf course. But it's the best driver of the year. It's the driver of the year for me so far, without any question. And I've tested a lot of drivers this year, all of them, between this channel and Dan's channel. It's super, super impressive. But let's head back to the studio and give you my final conclusion. So let's look at the numbers. Top one is the titanium, the bottom one is the carbon. Ignore the fact it says driver and fairway wood. So ball speeds then, 152.3 with the titanium, 153.7 with the carbon. As good as anything I've seen. These are gaming shots. So this is me trying to hit fairways, not trying to bomb it as far as I can, just trying to hit fairways as much as possible. Launch angle 13.9, launch angle 13.3, perfect. Like between 12 and 14 is exactly where I want it to be. Spin, 2,930, a little bit too high when it comes to the titanium, but it's what I'm expecting. This is the forgiving driver. This is the one that's designed to keep me in play more. And then down at 2,514 with the carbon, and that's possibly just because this one was a little bit low in the face, so it just span up a little bit more, but not too bad. Around 2.5 for me is definitely gameable, and with that ball speed and that spin, I'm going to get a pretty decent distance. Let's look at offline then. All these are in play. 20 yards left and right is what I give myself when I'm in a studio for an average fairway, so all these are in play. And then we go down here, all in play except for that one pushed out a little bit to the right, 7 yards right of where I'd want to be, so that's probably going to be in the rough, you know, or possibly for me in the trees. Peaking out 39 and 37, so pretty decent peak height when it comes from both. And then you're seeing the difference in the distance of 255 with the titanium and 265 with the carbon. And that's exactly what I'd expect to see with the difference between these two drivers. The carbon promises low spin and a neutral ball flight. The titanium offers forgiveness. That's what it's there for. But I'll tell you what, those numbers for the carbon are as good as anything I've seen when I've tested for gaming shots, and it's a fraction of the price. So I've tested both of these drivers now in the studio and out on course, and I am massively, massively impressed when it comes to the carbon version of these two. The titanium for me is a little bit too spinny, a little bit too forgiving, but it's perfect for those people who kind of like lose the ball a little bit. All that extra spin and everything is just going to help you keep it in place. So there's a driver there for you. But for someone who's an okay driver like I am, you know, I have good days and bad days, this carbon keeps it in play. The spin is great, the launch is great, and the distance is as good as anything I've hit. Like as good as anything I've hit. And remember, this costs at most £399. That's £200 cheaper than what the new releases are bringing out. But you won't buy this for one big reason, and this is this driver's major, major problem. That right there. Sadly, people will not buy this driver because it says Wilson on it. And I know what you're going to say and think is like, why? But it's not cool. It's cool to have the latest TaylorMade. It's cool to have the latest Callaway. It's cool to have the latest Ping. It's not cool to have a Wilson driver. But you should definitely give it a go, because this driver is as good as anything I've tested so far. And I've tested pretty much most of them between here and what's on Dan's channel. I'm really impressed with this Wilson driver, like really, really impressed with it. I urge you all to go and just give it a test and possibly save yourself £200 in the process. But I'd like to know what you think about Wilson drivers. Do you play Wilson drivers? Have you ever played any of the previous, the Cortex or anything like that in the past? And are you even considering Wilson, or are you not going to bother because of that major problem I talked about? I'd love to know. Please comment down below, let me know. Also, smash that like button, and if you're not yet subscribed, which about half of you who watch this aren't, please hit that subscribe button. It's free to do, and let's get this channel growing, because the more it grows, the better content I can bring you. Thanks again for watching. Plenty more to come in the future, and I'll see you all very, very soon.